What is up, sports fans? I am WSAV Sports reporter Connor Delpreet, joining you from the WSAV studio. We're starting something new here called WSAV.com Sports Now, just a way for us to chit-chat and get to know you as the sports fans. You get to know us as kind of sports fans instead of those talking heads at your screen. And I say we because it's not just me. No one wants to hear me talk for 20 minutes, let alone more than 4.5 minutes really on the news. So I'm going to introduce our co-host here, co-panel really. We have Ben Katko. Hey. Coastal Sunrise morning anchor, resident Steelers fan, quite uncomfortable to be standing this close to him because I am from Baltimore. Just want to get that out, clear the air.
Sorry.
You guys feel the
Tough
tension?
life.
There's a lot of genuine tension.
Wait till football
season
tension.
starts.
This is going to be a running theme in our podcast.
That's okay.
Whatever it may be. We have Greg Talbot. You know him from the Evening News, our sports director, sports anchor.
Might not recognize me. I look like absolute trash, but it's because I'm not used to being up this early. Also, Savannah Bananas. It's All-Star season. I'm wearing the jersey today.
That's fair.
I didn't
get the jersey memo.
I also wasn't going to put on a tie before noon, so
I took one off. I just had one.
Attaboy.
And therefore I did.
Even
too.
playing field.
And you mentioned the bananas. It's something we're going to talk about today. But first I want to kind of explain what this is all about. Why are we sitting at this desk? Why are we talking about sports for you every week is what we plan. So Ben, I want to start with you. What do you see from sort of this video podcast plan we have? What do you have envisioned?
I have a thought that there's another side to all of us that you don't get to see neat and tidy, packaged up on the news every morning or every night.
Obviously, look at us.
Clearly, Greg's wearing a jersey today. But you classed it up with a blazer. That's
Thank
nice.
you.
Mm-hmm. But my vision for this is to kind of let you see another side of us, who we are, especially me. You get to hear these two talk about sports. There is more to me than just the news. I am a huge sports fan, always have been. My first foray into television was sports television. It was much different. It was a college atmosphere and that kind of thing. But sports path didn't work out for me. News worked out for me, but I still love sports. Always have, always will.
And this is your chance to continue talking about sports and talk about it with guys that
dudes talking sports.
Unfortunately, the two of you have to listen to it, and so does everybody else. But
dudes
talking
talking sports. Yeah.
Dudes talking sports.
Let's toss to the left, Greg. What do you envision with it?
Yeah, I think I kind of have the same vision as Ben in that, well, anyone who knows me knows that I think, a decent job of being pretty much myself on the 10 and 11 o'clock shows on WSAV. But the truth of the matter is, when you're doing a 10 and 11 o'clock sportscast on the news and you're a guy in your mid-late 20s, there is a performative aspect to television. You are putting on a show. You are doing what you do for whatever it is between 2.5 and 4 minutes. And you have to be professional, and we're able to do that pretty well. But Connor and I are also just guys in our 20s that enjoy talking about sports and other sides of sports, different stories. We like talking about sports gambling, other weird, fun stuff that isn't just part of the 4-minute newscast on WSAV at 11 o'clock. So this is the same way for us to kind of goof around and kind of bring a fun, I would say less formal, obviously, aspect to what we're doing.
I'll try to make my wardrobe degrade a little bit over the course.
I was going to ask if I should wear a shirt next time.
It might just be like a T-shirt next time. Maybe
I'm thinking jerseys.
Eventually a tank top.
Jerseys every week?
I had to retire my Joe Flacco jersey, so I'm looking for a new one.
Hashtag not elite.
Jersey Monday. We'll work on a jersey Monday.
You see, what I'm thinking of this too is Greg and I, when we're not on set and we're in our office, we're talking sports still. I mean, we're sports nuts who grew up reading off baseball box scores, things like that. And these conversations we have, this is a way to put it on air and put it out for all of you, because we know that sometimes you can't watch the 10 and 11 o'clock news. Sometimes you can't watch Sunrise Sports. So this is your way throughout the week to get bite-sized pieces of sports, just little conversation topics that you can talk about at the bar with your friends, talk about at home with your family if they are already tired of you talking about football, baseball, whatever it may be.
You can stop me on the street and tell me how you don't agree with anything I'm telling you. So
People tell me that all the time.
that's why we're here to talk about it. We're here to give our opinion,
Takes.
take it for what it is.
We wake and we take.
Yeah.
How hot are the takes?
Today, not so spicy.
They're not so
A little
hot.
bit down the road, once you get a little more comfortable, we'll start
there.
bringing the heat. So let's start with a good story, though, a good news story, something that kind of gave me a little bit of goosebumps yesterday. I'm going to be honest. I was at Savannah Tap House yesterday morning. No, I was not. I was on the
You know
clock.
that's a Steelers place, right?
It is. It's a Steelers
Yeah,
bar.
I saw the Roethlisberger jersey, and I had to look away. I positioned the camera differently so I couldn't see it.
So everyone's so drunk there during football season.
Any reason to get my mind off the Steelers is welcome, and this is a reason why. The U.S. women's national team in the World Cup again, back-to-back times in the World Cup. They win it for the second straight time. I think it's a top 5 sports viewing moment for me personally, because I grew up playing soccer. I think so. In terms of viewing it on TV, yeah, because none of my teams win. I mean, the Ravens won a Super Bowl once. The Orioles have never won a Super Bowl in my lifetime.
Yikes.
And so for me, this was wild. I'm a huge soccer fan, and the coverage that this team has gotten has been prolific and controversial at times, but when it came down to it and they got the team's best in the Netherlands, they won. So I want to ask you guys, how did you feel watching this game? Was it a goosebumps moment, or was it a, it's soccer, it's not something I watch as much? I know, Ben, you were tweeting all about it.
Well, the truth of the matter is, I am not a big soccer fan.
Really?
I'm just not. It's just, I don't know, kind of how I grew up, I guess. Soccer wasn't big, where I'm from in Western Pennsylvania, where football,
You don't
where
say.
baseball. Yeah, it's not exactly the biggest soccer town in the world. But that doesn't mean that I don't like it. That doesn't mean that I don't love watching what's happening. The thing about the World Cup is, for the last several World Cups, as much of a soccer fan as I'm not all year round, I can tell you a handful of the last World Cups where I was when things happened. It's one of those cool sporting events where you feel a little bit different about it. You feel more prideful about it, I think, because you kind of grab onto your nationality and where you're from, and you're like, yeah, this is great. We're going to follow America all the way through, and we're going to be super Americans all the way to the end of it. And of course, it works out for the American teams more often than not. But the thing about the World Cup is it's so uniting, whether you're a soccer fan or not. And that's kind of how I felt about it, especially yesterday. Like, I wasn't feeling well yesterday morning, had to change my schedule around a little bit, had to miss church yesterday, but I was like, you know what, if I'm going to lay on the couch, I'm definitely going to watch this. And even if I had things to do yesterday morning, I was going to try to find a way to watch as much of it as I could, even for the little soccer fan that I am when these times come around. I still had to watch it, had to be a part of it.
I think it's appointment viewing TV for me, and there aren't many times I can say that for a team that I'm not invested in 24/7 like my Ravens or my Orioles, but anytime the U.S. women's team was on during this World Cup, I found myself watching. Greg, I want to ask you, do you get that same feeling where there are few things that can be compared to? I know Gonzaga basketball for you is something that holds a special place in your heart. Is U.S. soccer something you gravitate to, or is it something where you'll watch it if it's on?
Well, what's so funny is, although I am from Soccer City, USA, I'm from Portland, Oregon, and the Timbers have this big, beautiful soccer-only 25,000-seat stadium. I was at a Timbers game when I was home in Portland a week and a half ago, and it's so much fun. And part of what I kind of realized when I was at that Timbers game, and I applied it when I was thinking about it, to the U.S. women's national team is, let's be real, soccer does not have the larger audience's strategic attention the way at large football, basketball, baseball does. Because the vast majority of men in this country, and some women, grew up playing baseball, basketball, football, and you probably played to 5th or 6th grade long enough to understand that when you're watching the game, you understand the nuance and the strategy, and you like thinking kind of cerebrally about it, or at least I do. Maybe I'm a weirdo. But I think a lot of people didn't get to the place where you start thinking about soccer in a cerebral, intellectual way, where you're thinking deeply about strategy and line changes and positions and formations. And yet, it doesn't matter. It's like the reason the Nashville Predators in the NHL are the most popular team in Nashville, Tennessee. Why is a hockey team the most popular team in a place that is so crazy about football? It's because of atmosphere. It's because of communal environment and people choosing to get hyped up about something that they might not know a whole lot about. But if the environment is so great, who cares?
Don't they
it
throw
doesn't
catfishes
matter.
on the ice too? Don't they throw catfish on the ice? Is
Something like that. But I mean,
catfish in
you should see
Nashville?
the Timbers Army in Portland. And I was at a Timbers game, whatever it was, a week and a half ago, and I was back in Portland. And it's not like it's a bunch of jacked guys walking around like they played college soccer. It's like bearded punk rock dads and their kids who are just like full of piercings and tattoos, because it's a community and because it's fun. And I think sometimes I, and maybe everyone in the sports media, can get a little bit caught up in this, especially because I'm doing play-by-play, having to be objective about college football, college basketball games, where I find myself thinking about strategy because I'm not allowed to root. I'm not allowed to be loud. I'm not allowed to go crazy. I'm not allowed to lose my mind. There is a really enjoyable experience in saying, you know what? I don't know that much about line changes in hockey. I don't know really how formations in soccer are going to affect the outcome of this game, but give me a beer, let's have some fun. And I think that's an underrated thing that people gravitate to.
Yeah, and I think some people would say, well, true soccer fans wouldn't just latch on to the World Cup. I don't think that's true with the U.S. It's hard to keep up with a soccer team for the entire 4-year campaign of just getting to the World Cup, in between World Cups, following them through every qualifying stage. So I'm completely okay with people latching on to during the World Cup. If it gets more people in our bars and makes great stories like we had yesterday about the watch parties, I'm all for it. And there's nothing wrong with being patriotic no matter when you choose to do it. If it's, halfway through the qualifying stage or the first game of the World Cup, I'm completely fine with people latching on. I'm going to say I kind of latched on right at the beginning of the World Cup. I didn't follow many of their qualifying matches leading up to it.
You're not watching CONCACAF?
Well, it also helps that they're beating teams 7-8-0, and that's not as fun when it's not in the World Cup.
Listen, I had no problem with that 13-0 win.
I didn't either.
Not at all. Not a single problem.
You know who also didn't? I'm going to do a little transition here, a little switch here.
Girl, was that the dance move that the young people are doing?
I was trying. It didn't
the
work.
Kids do.
I thought you were young enough for that.
YouTube,
are you 25? Are you too old?
It hurts to wake up. It hurts.
Sorry to hear that.
You're a little young for that.
Rose Lavelle was 24. She scored that goal.
God.
It's a year younger than me. What
And
was
I think
last
just
year?
Rose Lavelle is probably, these women, these successful U.S. women's soccer teams in the World Cup and in the Olympics, they tend to have that one, maybe two players they're that name, they are that one that's leading the team to the next level, whatever.
Well, traditionally, they're older the last couple of years for the U.S.
Like Abby
veterans.
Wambach, and now you've got Megan Rapinoe, and I think Rose Lavelle is probably on that track to be that next one to take that team to the next level. Because truthfully, if you look at the ages of these players, when this comes back around in 4 years, I mean, we're talking a lot of the players pushing 40.
Yeah,
it's possible. Upper 30s, almost 40. I mean, you've got some.
You
of
wonder
these
who's
players.
not going to be around
You wonder,
next time because
what's it going to look like next time?
This is no hate on the state of the NWSL. It's actually a growing league. Like the Portland Thorns in Portland, they almost sell out the 25,000 seats at PG Providence Park now for the National Women's Soccer League. Although Megan Rapinoe is good enough to keep playing in the NWSL for the next 4 years. You wonder if she's going to be good enough to play on the world stage 4 years from now.
Yeah, I mean, you never know how things go, especially for a tournament like that. But, I'm not going to take a single thing away from these women. They put on one heck of a performance. I'll go back to that 13-0 victory to open the tournament. I loved every second of it. I loved every single goal they scored. I think when you go out there, and this is just a personal feeling, when you go out there on the biggest stage in the world for your sport, you go out there, just do your thing. I mean, if you're going to score goals, score those goals.
Thank you.
Keep scoring them. I mean, you make a statement, and I think that set a tone for the rest of the tournament that America was here to play again. Like we're not here to just, try our best and see what happens. No, we're here to win.
Right.
And they showed that right away.
I'm so glad you said that because we just mentioned how long it is, 4 years between World Cups. You spend all that time just to get to this point. Why not take advantage
Keep your foot on the gas and go.
These 3 weeks that you're going to be in front of national audiences when these NWSL teams aren't often on national TV.
Outside of Portland, there is almost no TV audience.
Right. So when you have this chance to become an icon for America, why not take it?
I love it.
Maybe the 13-0 win wasn't the iconic moment for America. I don't think it was by any stretch. Obviously, winning the World Cup was. But Megan Rapinoe's celebrations, her goals were the iconic moments. And so I'm with you there. I don't know these people getting angry about the celebrations or just people that don't like fun.
What's the age cutoff? Because it seems like that debate about running up scores and celebrating is had every year for eternity. In order for that argument to still have legs, what's the age cutoff for people to start being the old curmudgeon who say meh, 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 meh?
About that same age that you start getting mad at bat flips. I think that's the same age.
Yeah, but I mean, Ben, you're in your 30s. You think bat flips are great.
I don't mind them.
I love them.
That stuff doesn't bother me. Those celebrations like that, they don't bother me.
Who does that bother?
Well,
I've never met a person
those are things I
our
think.
Age, who cares?
Okay, for instance,
not our age.
Bat flips after a big home run. I have no problem with that because
don't let me hit a home run if you don't want me to flip the bat.
It's going to happen. I mean, baseball. Let's be honest. I love baseball. I have my entire life. Baseball is a huge part of my life. But baseball traditionally, if you're a casual fan, or you're like you're less than a casual fan, you go to a game here and there, the first thing somebody's going to tell you is how boring baseball is. They're going to say, man, baseball's so boring. Yeah. There's nothing I like more than a good 1-0 baseball game. There's something about it that does it for me, but that's the big-time baseball fan. The bat flip, I think, is great for the game. I think it's awesome. And why can't you celebrate when something good happens? Why not? There's a line I think maybe you shouldn't cross in your celebration, but a bat flip after you pound a home run out of the park, do you, man?
Yeah. You know who the ultimate ethos of our idea is? Next topic, Savannah Bananas.
Yeah, Savannah Bananas flipping things on its head. The Savannah Bananas have been doing that for, was it 4 years?
This is their fourth season.
Yeah, during their fourth season, they've never hosted an All-Star game, which, I think it takes some time, but the moment you see this team, you think this is a place, a stadium, a team suited to host an All-Star game. They're finally getting their chance. Right now we're taping this on a Monday, and so we're midway through the All-Star Showdown, which is essentially Keith Olbermann's baby. Something that he said the All-Star game in MLB has to change. You got to flip it on its head, and this is what the Bananas mentality was headed into. I talked to Jared Orton earlier last week before this started. Take a look.
Yeah, so for us, it was this kind of inspiration from Keith Olbermann a couple years ago when he said, you got to flip the MLB All-Star game on its head. And so when we had the chance to then host our league All-Star game, it was like, all right, it cannot be the traditional home run derby and then a 9-inning baseball game that doesn't matter to anybody. How do we make every single moment of the event count? How does the home run derby then affect the All-Star game? How does each round of the All-Star game lead to an eventual champion? That's what we were kind of going for in this format.
All right, so like Jared said, the big thing here is giving the Coastal Plain League an experience they've never seen before. I went on Sunday night for the home run derby, and I could already tell it was a different experience, even more different than Bananas games because, well, first of all, they had baseball tees on the field, literally like T-ball. They had players tossing balls to each other for the home run derby. I thought it was weird. I thought it was wacky. I thought it was a little confusing for some players, and Jared admits that it is going to be a little bit confusing to start. But I thought the fans had a good time. Were any of y'all able to kind of see some of the pictures or anything from it, or what do you think about this format? Greg, I want to start with you because the moment this format came out, you said this is going to be fun, it's going to be wacky, it's going to be something really fun to cover. What do you think about this format, Jeff?
I think people, I don't know about people at large, I think people in Savannah have grown so used to the idea of the Bananas just being completely outrageous and fun that they show up to the park hoping for stuff like this. Yeah. I don't think it's tolerating different ideas for baseball. I think Savannah has, with the help of the Bananas, become a little pod of experimentation in a game that is so resistant to experimentation. So the fact that this seemed to be well received by people, although again, the rain delay last night did not help things. I think you said they didn't finish up till after midnight with that final mini game. I think tonight's going to be an absolute blast. I wish we could have the home run derby tonight so more people could see it without being afraid of the eventual rain that was going to come. But I knew it was going to be fun. It looked like a blast. Tonight's going to be great. And there are communities in this country where stuff like this just works. The Sand Gnats were having like 200 people a game before the Bananas showed up. Now it's 4,000 a game. They've sold out 75 straight games. This is the place to try it. They should have the Coastal Plain League All-Star Game here every year and just keep doing weird, wacky formats until something sticks. I swear, if baseball really is so worried outside of major metropolitan cities where kids grew up going to and watching games, which baseball should be outside of those major metropolitan areas, just try this. Every weird thing that the Bananas and the league can think of, do it here, All-Star Game, regular season. If you are worried about the sport with people over 40, which you should be, let the Bananas carte blanche. Let them go wild.
Do their thing. I mean, this is, you're exactly right. This is exactly how it should be at this level because let's be honest, Major League Baseball is never going to do this. They're never going to change the format. The most risky thing they've done as far as changing the way of the All-Star Game is if the NL or AL wins, that's who gets home field advantage. Like that's okay, fine.
And also, what kind of way is that to decide the World Series?
Right, that's not great anyway. And outside of that, obviously I wasn't around when they decided, hey, this home run derby thing will be a great idea. But I feel like with Major League Baseball, like that's as far as you've taken their experimentation, was doing this home run derby and just saying, this is going to be a whole lot of fun. It's going to be weird, weird in the sense of professional baseball. But yeah, if you want to do this stuff, if you want to find a whole new group of people interested in baseball outside of those 30 baseball cities, this is exactly it.
Well, and let's talk about part of, and I think I've given you this spiel. I'm not sure if I've given you this spiel. I think I've given some version of this spiel.
What did I sign up for?
We are so lucky in this city of Savannah that the Sand Gnats and the Mets organization left because Savannah wouldn't build a new stadium in 2016. We are so lucky because the Bananas came in and proved you don't need a new stadium. Because the reason, from a business standpoint, the reason the Bananas work so well is precisely because it is not a professional baseball team. When the Bananas players go out there and shake their butts and dance with a first base coach, you think a guy who just got drafted and got given a $4 million contract is going to go out there and shake his ass? No.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. Do you think that they're going to have the Banana Nanas on the field? Do you think that a professional baseball major league farm system organization is going to give up a professional first base coach for 3 innings a game to send out a SCAD dance major out there? No way.
Not a chance.
The reason it works is because it's not professional, and I think that's actually the reason that Major League Baseball is outside of those 30 major metropolitan areas and cities that might add like Nashville, Portland, Charlotte, whatever. They're fighting a losing battle because the restrictions of the business model require it to stay so hard and fast with its own rules. A Major League Baseball would never. Actually, an official minor league baseball team, the Sand Gnats moved to Columbia, became the Fireflies in 2016 when they left Savannah. Not even that single A Carolina League team would do a single thing the Bananas do. The reason it works is because the business model is actually unprofessional.
I wonder. I talked to Alex Deegan, a Bananas player, the other day, freshman from Kentucky who's here, and he's the tall 6'8" guy that loves to take his shirt off when he dances. He
on
told
the
me,
dugout.
Do you think,
on the
man?
dugout.
Girls go
Just gotta do what you gotta do.
He just
Moms
loves
love it.
Yeah, they do, and he said that. He likes bringing out the roses too. But he told me that it's just a different experience in a good way from college ball, and I think
SEC's so buttoned up.
well, right, and
It all is.
I wonder if the Bananas is a good model to warm some of these players up for college ball and MLB to be a little bit more marketable. Maybe we have this marketing problem in MLB where the best player in all of baseball is Mike Trout, who is the quiet, he just sticks, he's buttoned up. I wonder if he experienced something like the Savannah Bananas when he was coming up, if maybe there would be little moments that could go out viral on Twitter of these biggest players in the world being a little bit more human. I wonder if they had that sort of grooming system in these coastal plain leagues or some of these smaller level teams, if it would make them a little bit more loose once they actually got to the pros, because in my conversations with these Bananas players, it sticks with them after they leave the team. I think Alex Deegan is going to go to Kentucky and he's going to be himself and he's going to be a little bit more open about just enjoying the game and not feeling like he has to always have this solemn look on his face and he's doing a job.
Honest to God, I think the only way to cure the fact that all these kids grew up thinking being told by their dad that they need to be Derek Jeter versus Barry Bonds or Sammy Sosa or Mark McGwire or any of the fun Jose Canseco, any of the fun players from that 90s, early 2000s era. The worst thing that baseball ever did was make Derek Jeter the face of the game and teach a generation of kids to be boring. And I mean, great baseball player, Derek
That's
Jeter.
one way to look at it.
So boring in terms of personality. We never saw a lick of personality out of Derek Jeter. And the dads of that generation loved it, said, don't be Sammy Sosa, he flips his bat. Don't be Jose Canseco, he's doing too much weird. Be Derek Jeter. And, I mean, what is Mike Trout, if not our generation's Derek Jeter? For better and for worse. Great player, great guy, great community service. I've never heard him say an interesting thing. And the Bananas, teaching them to go out there and show their personality the way they do, I think putting them in an environment where they can be proven that people want to see you do fun, wacky stuff, I think it might be borderline the only mass scale antidote.
I have never interviewed any of the Bananas players. Wouldn't know them, outside of what you guys do. But I would have to guess that, when you were a kid playing baseball growing up and it was all about having fun, make sure you have fun while you're out there. That's part of it, I got to imagine that for these kids, this is up there with those fun little league days for them. It has to be.
Joy.
When they get back to their schools, when these kids get back to wherever they're playing baseball right now, on a scholarship, wherever it is, they're going to go back and they're going to tell their teammates how awesome their offseason was in the summer, and I bet there's nobody else on their team that can give them the same experience. It's not. I don't think it's possible.
I can tell you it's not true. Back when I was in college, I broadcast 2 summers in summer college baseball leagues like the Bananas. I did the West Coast League in Bellingham, Washington one summer that was in the Northwest, and I did the Upper Midwest one summer with the team in Michigan that played in Wisconsin, Minnesota, Iowa, and Illinois. And just baseball. Just baseball.
Just here to play baseball. You can still have fun, though.
Yes, you can still have fun. You can still have fun even if the stadium isn't going crazy. And I think if you can almost send out to the rest of, if Savannah can be like home base for fun, weird baseball for the rest of the country. No, and first of all, the Savannah Bananas are the first very online baseball team. I think we've established that by now, and that they are using that to their advantage and marketing themselves and branding themselves. I hope it isn't just businesses that are paying attention.
Yeah.
Baseball's got such a stodgy old grandpa problem that young people are trying to break through right now. Bananas, keep doing it and do more. The game needs more Savannah Bananas on a national scale.
Now, I believe I was watching the CPL broadcast last night of the All-Star game, and I believe they just announced a new team is joining the CPL. So I think a good question to ask the CPL would be, is that team going to be inspired by what the Bananas do? And
where are they located?
Well, look how much success they've had.
I don't want to say the wrong city.
Cedar Rapids, Iowa?
That I'm not sure.
Strange team for the
It's
coastal
Cedar
plain.
something. It's Cedar something.
I don't make these decisions.
I'll have to
Cedar
double
Grove?
check that.
That's
That's
near Atlanta.
Yeah, I think it's Cedar Grove.
Well, here's the thing then.
Maybe.
You know, you would hope that these new teams they introduced to the league would take after that model because it's worked here. The Sand Gnats are here. You said they were getting 200 people a game.
That's
just
what I
like
hear,
that.
man.
The Bananas show up 4,000 people every night, 75 straight sellouts. They're doing something right. Nothing. What changed over there? They moved one baseball team out and put another baseball team in the same ballpark. It's just somebody had a better idea of how to do it. Let's have some fun doing it.
It's on a large scale. It's theater. And
It's entertainment.
I used to be a minor league baseball broadcaster, and I have never seen an organization, not even just baseball, I've never seen an organization of any kind commit to the shtick. I don't know if you guys ever did plays in high school or elementary school or whatever, or college, but one thing that a director always tells you is that if you want an audience to buy what you're selling and be engaged and engrossed with what they're seeing, you got to sell it.
Yeah.
You have to make them believe that you are into it, even if you are thinking about the date you have later or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I have never seen an organization, baseball or otherwise, find a vision, commit to the shtick, and pull it off. The Make and Bacon launched, I think it was last year, 2 years ago. Again, that's just a team. They're like, well, they're in the same league. They can be rivals. We'll give them a silly name and a silly logo, and it'll be just as
Here
good.
comes the bacon hate.
Well, no,
Here
it
comes.
It's not. No, it's not. It's not the same. It's the same
No, it's
reason
not.
that some companies succeed and companies fail. It's organizational vision and committing to your vision. The Bananas go 10. They turn it up to 11. The Bananas go all the way, and I hope Cedar Grove or whatever it is able.
Cedar Rapids.
Cedar
They thought
something.
Cedar Rapids, Iowa.
Cedar Rapids just thought they got
Cedar
a
Put
team.
them on
something.
charter plane to play league games. I hope they find a way to do it like that, but it's the Bananas ownership. It's Jared Orton running the team. It's Jesse Cole who's the owner. It's organizational vision and a commitment to the shtick, which I think baseball is so afraid of.
Yeah,
They are.
As long as they keep
I'm getting too philosophical. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but I
getting
hear
really
you, though.
deep. Getting really
That's
deep.
deep.
No, I mean, I think the Jesse Jared combination, the rest of that staff is a very unique one that you're not going to find in any city that just happens to get a Coastal Plain League team. What amazes me about the Bananas is that they wowed me when I first got here, and every single month it seemed they did something different that raise my expectations even more, where you think you get the shtick of the Bananas, and then they do something different. They bring something on like this All-Star Showdown, which guys are literally playing T-ball for a home run derby, and they're loving it. I think every player in the Coastal Plain League deep down wants to be part of the Savannah Bananas.
Joy. Yeah,
I
of
think
course.
that's what
Joy.
you see with this All-Star Showdown is these players are just being themselves and being able to enjoy something that they may only come to once a year for a random Coastal Plain League game. And I want to move on to our next baseball topic, but just last thoughts with the Bananas. We're going to have Jared Orton on later this week to talk about the All-Star game or the All-Star Showdown and his impressions. And I think it'd be interesting to ask him some of these questions about, is there a way to replicate this somewhere else? Does he see a potential spot elsewhere in the Coastal Plain League? Or does he think this is the grooming system that should be in place for future Major League Baseball
It's
players?
worth noting they do own a second team in the Coastal Plain League. That group owns the Gastonia Grizzlies up near Charlotte. That was their first baseball team. And although the attendance is good and it's fun up there, it's not the same. There is a magic something in the water here with their commitment to the shtick plus
something.
Savannah's artistic sensibility and performative sensibility. I think there's something
getting deep
magic in
again.
the water.
Yeah, he's going real deep.
He's going really deep.
real deep.
Am I getting too philosophical? I'm sorry. This
I feel like we're good here. I feel like we
Yeah.
got it. I feel like we hammered that one home. So,
Next.
Moving on to the next baseball topic, not as exciting, fun in a different way. I think this Atlanta Braves team comes into the All-Star break 6
man.
games in front of
good.
everyone else. We came into this year thinking pitching's going to be the downfall no matter what. I think Braves fans can be happy with the position this team is at right now, especially considering I looked up, our sabermetrics, nerdy baseball stats. Their relief pitching hasn't been that bad.
Our research staff in the back.
Yeah, our research staff.
they're just back there crunching numbers.
They're top 10.
There's a bunch of them.
They're top 10 in games won with relief pitching. It's crazy. I don't want to go over too many stats because this isn't a stats podcast, but I'd be curious in what y'all have gathered from the Braves this year. What's been the biggest surprise? I think it's been the relief pitching not lighting the Twitter world on fire with how bad they've been, because I don't think they've been bad. And then rookie Austin Riley has just been arguably Rookie of the Year, I think. I want to give it to you first, Ben.
Well, they've put together, I printed out the roster here because I didn't want to forget anything. They have put together an incredible group of homegrown talent.
Yep.
And they committed to this
Years ago.
This is how it was going to be. Back when eventually Dansby Swanson became part of the team, and everybody was like, this kid's pretty good. Like, he's probably going to be pretty good. And they just kind of let their plan work out. Freddie Freeman was already there, and he was already good. Everybody knew that. But this is the same thing I struggle with as a Pirates fan. We always have that one or two great pieces of the team. We're like, this is a great little nucleus we've got here. Let's build around that. And we did that for a couple of seasons with Andrew McCutchen. There was a time where we were a patient franchise, and we took that and we built it. And we went to the playoffs 3 straight years in a row. This Braves team is a little bit different, I think, though. They have been so patient for so long. And the names that are on this, and then they just added in little pieces like Josh Donaldson. Like, there's another great bat out there.
We'll
go ahead and get him. We'll let him bang out some home runs. That'll be great. So
One a weekend.
they bring him in. I mean, Ozzie Albies is homegrown. Camargo's homegrown. Freddie Freeman is homegrown. Acuna's homegrown. You bring in Donaldson just because you want another guy to hit the baseball. I mean, it's not a bad team. They are not a bad team. And looking at it now, I don't think anybody should be surprised they are where they are.
I think the
They're
only
a year or
surprise
two ahead of
here-
schedule.
I think
They got there fast.
Yeah, they did. I thought they were already like 2 or 3 years ahead of schedule last year when they bowed out to the Dodgers, I believe, in the playoffs. They're still ahead of schedule, but I think this is a year where they can take advantage of, I don't know if weak is the right word, but I think it's them and the Dodgers in the NL. I really think it's a collision course.
The Dodgers are 13.5 games up from the Diamondbacks. The Dodgers don't have anything to worry about.
No, they don't have anything to worry about until they get to the playoffs,
Well,
because
that's
the Dodgers have their problems in the playoffs. The one thing I will say about this Braves team, and they've gotten better at it over the year, is manufacturing runs. My Orioles made me so sad when they were a home run only hitting team, and they bowed out of the playoffs because they couldn't find ways to score when they were facing a really good pitcher in the biggest moments. As long as the Braves can continue using guys like Nick Markakis, my boy Cakes from the O's is now with the Braves. A little sad about that. I'm going to move on though because I don't want to talk about it. He's manufacturing runs. Josh Donaldson's hitting a lot of home runs. I think he's got the playoff clutch gene though, which I think is a thing. So as long as they can continue to manufacture runs, as long as Dallas Keuchel slowly makes his way back to even 75% of what he was when he was the Cy Young winner, I think they'll be fine. Greg, I'm curious as to what you think. You've seen this Braves team for a couple of years now being in the market. Are they rising at a meteoric rate compared to what people thought?
We weren't expecting them to be as good as they were last year. I think people were expecting this year, maybe next year, to kind of be what they were last year. Reading their highlights every night and following this team, the one thing that I've been shocked at is, I don't know if it's intentional, because I know you as a manager can't go out there and say, you guys are going to go win this game tonight and forget tomorrow night's game. They're winning the games that matter.
Mm-hmm.
There was a stretch in the last 2 weeks where they were playing the Mets in their division, the Phillies in their division, and I think they won 4 or 5 out of those 6. The games they're losing aren't division games. And I know there are old school baseball fans out there who say, oh, it doesn't matter. A win's a win and a loss is a loss, and eventually you get to 162. No. Division games matter. The surest-fire way to put a distance between you and the second and third place teams in your standings, the way they did with the Phillies and Mets, is to go out there and beat them 2 out of 3 games in a series, or go out there and get a sweep. I haven't done the math, I haven't done the numbers, but at least the last 2 months, the head-to-head games against the Phillies and Mets, I think are they still 5.5 up on Philadelphia, something like
They're
that?
6 now. They're
Yes.
6 on the closest
Right.
team.
There's 6 on the
5 or
Nats.
6, and it's because they're going out there in the games that. Who cares if you lose to the Marlins? Who cares if you lose
They
to...
don't lose to the Marlins, too. They've only
Nobody
lost
does.
twice this year,
that,
10 times.
That too,
Yeah.
but they're winning the division games. And that has always been the surest fire way to put a distance between you and second place, because not only are you going up, you're sending the other team straight down.
Right. Well, yeah. As long as you can beat your division teams,
Yep.
yeah, that you just keep pushing that gap just a little bit
Well,
further.
there are teams in baseball that try to make the playoffs, even though they lose, even though they go 500 in the division by racking up interleague and early season wins against non-division teams.
But see, that's what's happening in the NL Central right now, because
Yeah.
the difference
Oh,
between
I
the
haven't
first
even
place
looked at that.
Cubs and the last place Reds is 4.5 games.
Yeah.
Yep.
But 4.5 games separate
It's
5
like the
teams.
SEC; they're just killing each other.
Right. They're cannibalizing each other. They're just, that's great. I mean, everybody is beating everybody in the division, but it's like 1 for 1. I beat you one night, you beat me the next night. It's like everybody's splitting their series, and that's why you've got the Cubs that are 47 and 43, and they're in first place. That's what it takes to be in first place in that division. But that division's important for whoever is trying to win it, obviously, that they continue to beat teams in their division, because that's going to be literally the only way that anybody gets into the playoffs.
That's
there.
also important for baseball to have St. Louis or Chicago make the playoffs
Of course
out of
it
that
is.
division.
Of course it is. But right
Cincinnati
now,
would be bad.
well, right now, the Dodgers will win the West.
Damn it.
I'm going to get. Sorry, I'm going to guess.
What about my Giants?
The
We're
Braves.
horrible. We're awful.
Because the way it looks right now is
Only
the Dodgers
17
would win the
and a half
West. The Braves could win the East. Let's just, for argument's sake, say they will. Let's say the Cubs go ahead and win the Central, but you're going to get both wild card teams out of the Central too.
Yep.
Because of the way
Because
that
the
the
Mets
records shake out.
no, because the Braves and Dodgers are killing everyone in the division. We're going to get 3 NL Central
Actually,
teams.
it's funny. Actually, that may not be where it comes from. It's possible it comes out of the West too.
Yeah,
Because
Diamondbacks.
the gap
D-backs?
between because
Or
the D-backs are
Padres.
46 and 45. The Cubs in first place are 47 and 43.
Maybe.
It's a weird dynamic. It's strange.
Manny Machado in the playoffs, his first year with the Padres? Maybe. Do you see what he
It's-
said the other day at
it's
the Dodgers
possible.
game?
Yeah, he'd bet somebody his whole
Yes.
contract.
His whole $300 million contract.
Yeah, well, hey, why not? That's better.
Verbal
Take.
binding
When you
contract,
got it to
right?
throw around.
Right, when you got it to throw around, you may
got
as
it,
well.
flaunt it.
Same. I do want to run through 2 quick more topics here. NBA free agency and then the home run derby. I'm going to leave it up to y'all. What do you want to start with? Home run derby since we're on baseball? What do you think?
Sure, we taking picks.
Yeah, take
Josh
this.
Bell.
That was my pick.
It's my homer pick.
All right. Well, then I'll go with my kind of homer pick. I'm going with Acuna.
You shouldn't have let me go first then.
I had Josh Bell too.
Yeah, I think everybody got
Okay.
Josh Bell. Okay, Josh Bell is currently the odds-on favorite that as of this morning. Everybody thinks he's probably going to win this thing. That dude, outside of being a Pirates fan, I'll take my homer part of it out of this. That dude can hit a baseball anywhere, anytime.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter where it's coming, where the ball's going to end up. He's going to hit it.
He's fit enough to do it for an extended period.
Yes,
The
absolutely.
problem, there's been a problem in baseball the last 15 years that, yeah, there were times where Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa won it and Barry Bonds won it when we were kids. The problem is if you go out there and jack 15 in the first round, you have to be able to do it for a while.
You got to do it for a few more rounds.
Which is the reason why more fit guys have started winning the Derby the last couple of years, is because someone finally figured out the strategy to win the contest instead of just saying, how far can I hit
It's
it?
not being the strongest guy. It's being the guy that's in the best shape.
Yep.
Well, look at
Being
Ken
fit.
Griffey Jr. back when I was a kid and everybody
You
was
bet.
like, that was the show to watch. The home run derby with
Yes.
Ken Griffey Jr.
Yes.
That was must see.
Prettiest
TV.
swing in baseball.
I would, if that was happening every year for the rest of my life, I could guarantee you I'd be tuned in
Battle
every year
tap.
for the rest of my life to watch that happen. But it was so good to watch because Ken Griffey Jr. wasn't the biggest dude in the room.
Nope.
He wasn't the strongest guy in the room, but he had the best swing in the room.
An effortless swing that he could just take
Effortless.
500 of and still hit.
He was so athletic that he was always going to win those. He was always going to hit the prettiest home runs. Plus, the dude went out there I know people were upset that he would turn his hat around backwards, like, oh goodness, we're going down.
Is my eye roll big enough for the camera to see?
Throw up.
But the thing is, he went out there with that swagger that I think in that type of competition, a little bit of extra something that you got, a little bit of swagger, a little bit of, you're going to go out there with a little bit of intimidation. He went out there and he was cool.
He was.
And I think to some other guys, it might be like, I don't think I could be that cool. But I think it's a weird way to intimidate somebody,
I
too.
think so.
Plus, they pay these guys like $1 million if you win. So, yeah, I'm going to do everything I can to win.
Exactly. I think it's like the NBA dunk contest of the MLB, except way less exciting because the dunk contest is still, I think, a head above the home run.
I'll tell you what,
Entertainment
though,
value.
personal thing, back in 2015, I was working in Cincinnati. We had the All-Star Game, the Home Run Derby. It was awesome. Something I always wanted to go to, and of course, I got to be paid to be there, so that made it even better. But I went to the Home Run Derby, and that's when Todd Frazier won it at home in Great American Ballpark. That, for me, personally, is up there with, like you said at the beginning of the show, top 5 sports moments in my life to watch that happen, because you had 40,000 people, a majority of them from Cincinnati, that were Reds fans that were there. And I was sitting up in the press seats that they assigned to us, and I was watching it, and he would just, it's something told you that, like, this was going to happen. I'm getting chills about it now. And something told you that this was going to happen. Like, it was going to happen here. And he just kept hitting home runs. And I think he was surprising himself up against the other guys that were in this competition. And he was just banging home runs, one after another after another. And I was like, this is insane. And he hit a few to, like, come from behind or go ahead or whatever. And that stadium was rocking. And I went outside after he finished a round, I went outside because I was like, all right, I got to get outside and, like, actually be on TV. But I went outside and watched it with people who were packing the streets. Like, streets were closed, packed with people. And he hit that home run to win, and he did that strut after he hit it. Man, I've never seen anything like that. So I think there are those moments still you can get out of the Home Run Derby that are like pinnacle moments.
Was his dad pitching to him, too?
It was his brother,
Or his brother? That's
I think it was
cool.
his brother that was throwing to him.
That's
There's always a
cool.
good story there, too. The guy that you pick to throw to, you always have a good story with.
Bryce
But
Harper did his dad, I
Yeah.
think, one year, too.
Josh Bell's got an old teammate pitching to him that he's been best friends with through the minors, and they had a great story I was reading this morning on The Athletic. But I'm going Josh Bell tonight. Feel free to pick him because everybody else is too.
If Acuna comes out with the backwards hat, Acuna by $1 million.
Watch out.
Fair. That's fair.
Moving on to our last topic now. NBA free agency.
Everybody's getting rich.
Woj. Unbelievable stuff.
Like
2
a
a.m.
Beyonce album in the middle of the night with no warning.
I'm hunched
Like
over.
it just
Like a Beyonce
Here it
album.
is.
Just 2 in the
They
morning.
look very similar, too. It's crazy. I was hunkered over
Woj and Beyonce?
Look it up. I was at Waffle House when I saw the news.
it's a heck of a place.
It was the next morning. It was like 10
What were you doing
a.m.
at Waffle House
Well,
at
it
2 in the
was-
morning,
no,
Connor?
it was-
I do
It was
Waffle
10 a.m.
House.
I didn't check my phone until I was at Waffle House. 2 a.m. Waffle House. is great.
Saturday morning.
That's a different scene, 2
With
a.m. Waffle
Saturday
House.
morning
Waffle
with my
home.
family. That's where we have brunch.
Waffle Home is what they call it now. I was looking at it at Waffle House. Jaw drop with the Kawhi news. My question to you is Kawhi the new like puppet master of the NBA now? Like he was behind the scenes doing stuff. I heard he made the Lakers run around Los Angeles just to mess with him while he was always going to go to the Clippers. He's calling Paul George. He called Kevin Durant before free agency and said, "Hey, what you doing?" He found out Kevin's going to the East. He's like, "I think the West is good now. I'm going to bring Paul George with me." Russell Westbrook is now in tears because no one ever wants to play with him.
He's going to go to Miami.
You think so?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Jimmy Butler and Russell Westbrook in Miami
Absolutely.
would be a
Because everybody's
tie.
got 2 now.
Everyone does have 2, which
Everybody's got 2.
I think it makes the NBA great. Personally, I think you can make the case for 8 to 10 teams now who can win a title. Last year, the years before, it was the Warriors.
When was the last time we didn't know who was going to be in the finals? 5 years ago?
Right.
But
I
see,
think this
look
is
what everybody's
great.
doing now. Everybody saw an opportunity that Golden State is perceived to be not as good next year because even if
Clay's out.
KD came back, he was still out for a year. Clay is probably going to be out for
Iggy's
a
a year older.
Clay's out for a year.
So between Steph Curry and Draymond Green, they're going to have to score like 83 points a game in order to compete. And people think that that's what's going to happen. And I'd like to think that they're still competitive because they are
yeah.
that good. But the rest of the league, I think, saw a chance. It was like, okay, this is it. Like this might be the one year we can get Golden State out of the way, and we have a better shot at it, especially if you're in the West.
Oh, the West is going to be so entertaining. You talk about your Trailblazers. They got a little big 3 going on there. For a team that said they didn't want the big 3, they got it.
I am so happy at how bad this made the Lakers organization look.
It just
not
it came out
The
weird for them.
joy that I take in the ultimate middle finger that Kawhi gave and said, "Yeah, I always wanted to come to Los Angeles. I always wanted to play in the Staples Center." I just don't want to play for your crappy front office genie bus. Sell the
Man,
team.
listen.
No, and I also, LeBron, I don't want to be your second banana no matter how much you tell me that it's my team. No, because guess what? If they're in the playoffs and there's 5 seconds left and they're down 2, you think LeBron is passing Kawhi that ball?
Absolutely not.
No, absolutely
Not a chance.
not.
I'm a LeBron stan, so I would.
You think he was going to pass him that ball?
I would
5 seconds
argue.
left?
I would
No.
argue that LeBron.
No way.
Absolutely not.
LeBron passes quite a big deal
Not
in
with,
big time
not
moments.
with 5
yes,
seconds
he
left.
does.
Do you think he would? To Kawhi with 5 seconds left? Elimination?
The best player in the NBA? Yeah, I think he would pass to the best player in the NBA.
Let
I think
him
he's
ISO?
smart
You think
enough.
so?
Maybe not ISO. I think he, whether
Depends
it's a
on what
pick and
number
roll with Anthony
championship
Davis.
is.
I don't know.
If he needs to win his
I am-
Y'all can hate on
I'm just-
LeBron.
I'm obsessed with how bad this makes the Lakers look. It's like the Yankees looking awful
You know what,
before
though?
they got good again. I love the Lakers looking awful.
Let us not forget the fact that Jerry West picked up the phone and made all this happen for the Clippers.
Yeah, no
Jerry
kidding.
West made this happen.
kidding.
And look back
Yeah.
through all of Jerry West's executive history in the NBA. He has made so much happen for so many franchises. He made things great for Golden State. He made them great for the Lakers. He's making them great for the Clippers now. He got Memphis off the ground. Like, this guy knows what he's doing. And honestly, this is just me. If Jerry picked up the phone and called me as a free agent, I'm in. I'm in.
The logo.
The logo, Dan. I was
the
just gonna
logo
say.
calls.
Love it, sorry. The logo, Dan.
I'm in if the logo calls. That's all I got.
The sad part about this is with all these guys duoing up, it means teams like my Wizards will
gonna
be
be a few
bad
years,
for
Connor.
years to
It's gonna be
come.
a couple years.
Unless KD finally comes home after his contract with Brooklyn. But again, this is all about my teams being bad, everyone else's teams being good, and so
Good life.
I think that's it. Y'all got anything else?
No,
Anything
I'm
else you
done.
want to add? You good?
I saw
Greg?
Midsummer this
Are
weekend.
you gonna get? Okay, all right, never
You guys
mind.
see Midsommar
we're
yet?
not doing
No.
philosophical
We're
stuff.
not seeing
Cut his
movies?
mic off.
No more movies?
Cut the
Okay.
mic off.
Is it time for me to just get up and leave?
Do the Todd Frazier strut off as I'm
Todd
queuing us
Frazier
out.
strut.
That's it for our
Do the Vince McMahon.
WSAV.com Sports Now podcast. Hope you enjoyed. This is a work in progress.
Yeah,
we can only
it
go
is.
up from here. We're going to have more content as football season comes on. Hope you enjoyed it. If you didn't like it, let us know. If you liked it,
We'll fix it.
retweet, like, unretweet, retweet again. Is that how it works?
Have your
Subscribe,
friends do it.
unsubscribe, like,
That'd be
rate,
good.
review.
I think so.
I think that's all it. All right, folks. Take care. We'll see you next week.
Here's
ya.
take on me.